I stood on that stage with a remote control in my hand and the power to destroy my brother's entire life. 100 people were watching. My mother was in the front row. And the worst part, the part that still keeps me up at night, is that I enjoyed it. For about 10 seconds, I enjoyed every single moment of it. This is the story of how I became the villain in my own family. Or maybe I always was. My name is Jason. I'm 32 years old, and 6 months ago I did something that most people would call brave, and a few people I used to love, would call unforgivable. Before I tell you about that night, I need to take you back to a dinner. A Sunday dinner. The kind my mother, Diane, insisted on every single week, like it was church. And honestly, it kind of was. Same rituals, same seating arrangement, same sermon. The sermon was always about Alex. Alex is my older brother, 35. Real estate. Big smile, firm handshake. The kind of guy who walks into a room and immediately becomes the center of it. He'd brought his new girlfriend, Chloe, to this particular dinner. She worked at a venture capital fund, one of those sharp, polished women who could make you feel like you were wasting her oxygen just by the way she looked at you. We were sitting around my parents' dining table. This big mahogany thing my mom treated like it was a family heirloom, and the conversation was doing what it always did, orbiting around Alex, his latest deal, his new car, his trip to Aspen. I was pushing roasted chicken around my plate, trying to take up as little space as possible. Then Chloe turned to me. "So, Alex tells me you're a programmer, Jason." She said it the way you'd say, "So I hear you collect bottle caps." "Data scientist, actually," I said. "I run my own analytics." She cut me off with this little laugh. "Musical. Practiced. Oh, that's adorable. Your own little spreadsheet company. It's just so sweet that you have a hobby that pays the bills." The table laughed. Not cruel, exactly. Worse than cruel. Dismissive. The kind of laughter that says you're not even worth taking seriously enough to be mean to. My brother draped his arm around her. "She's a firecracker, isn't she?" My mom chimed in. "We just worry about you, Jason. That tech world is so unstable. Not like what Alex does. Solid, tangible." Then my dad cleared his throat. When Richard Miller clears his throat, everyone shuts up. It means the verdict is coming. Your brother builds things, Jason. He deals with people, with real assets. He paused, looking at me like I was a math problem he couldn't solve. "You sit in a dark room and type. We just want you to have a secure future." Every word was a brick. And they'd been building this wall around me my entire life. Now here's the part where I'm supposed to tell you I was a total innocent. The overlooked angel. The kid who never did anything wrong and got punished for it anyway. That's the version that would make you fully root for me. But I promised you the truth, so here it is. When I was 13, I did something terrible to Alex. He had this big presentation for a state competition, public speaking, which was his thing even back then. He'd been working on it for weeks. The night before, I went into his room while he was at practice and I deleted the whole file of his computer. Just erased it. He stayed up until 3 in the morning trying to recreate it from memory. He bombed. He cried. I watched him cry. And I felt nothing. Maybe I even felt good. I was 13 and so full of jealousy, it was like acid in my chest. My parents found out. My dad didn't yell. He just looked at me and said, "Why would you do that to your own brother?" And I didn't have an answer. I still don't. Not a good one, anyway. After that, something shifted. It was subtle at first. Then it wasn't. Alex became the one they protected, the one they invested in, and I became the one they watched carefully, the one they kept at arm's length, like I might break something valuable if they let me get too close. I'm not saying that justifies 20 years of being treated like a footnote, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand where it started. I lit the first match. They just never stopped punishing me for the fire. There's one memory I keep coming back to. I was 8. Before the competition, before the jealousy, before any of it went wrong. My dad took me to Best Buy to pick out my first computer. Just the two of us. He let me take my time, didn't rush me, didn't check his phone. When we loaded it into the car, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, You're gonna build something amazing someday, kid. That was the last time my father looked at me like I was full of possibility instead of full of problems. I've spent 24 years trying to get that look back. And sitting at that dinner table, watching Chloe smirk and my family nod along like trained seals, I finally realized I never would. I tried one more time anyway. I've been developing a forensic accounting AI, I said, keeping my voice as steady as I could. It's designed to detect sophisticated financial fraud, pattern recognition, predictive modeling. Chloe waved her hand like she was shooing a fly. Oh, honey, leave that to the big players. My firm is actually acquiring a small AI company right now. Real professionals with a brilliant algorithm. She looked me up and down, slow and deliberate. It's a bit out of your league. My brother snickered. My parents nodded. I put my fork down. The clink against the plate was the loudest sound in the room. My father leaned forward. Jason, don't be rude, he hissed. Stop making the family look bad. Not stand up for yourself. Not that's enough. Just stop making us look bad. My job, as always, was to absorb the heat and keep the family portrait hanging straight. I picked my fork back up. I didn't eat. I just sat there like a ghost at my own family table, the taste of ashes in my mouth. I drove home that night telling myself I was fine, that I was used to it. But the truth is, you never get used to being invisible. You just get better at pretending it doesn't break you. And then Chloe broke something she shouldn't have touched. See, I didn't just go home after that dinner. I couldn't. The silence of my apartment would have swallowed me whole. So I drove to my office instead. A couple of rented rooms in a strip mall off Route 9 that served as the global headquarters of Aurelia Analytics. Glamorous, I know. My co-founder Ben was there, same as always. 3 monitors glowing, half a pizza going cold beside him. Ben's been my best friend since college. He's the only person on earth who never saw me as Alex's weird little brother. He just saw me as his partner. He took one look at my face and said, "Sunday dinner?" I gave him the highlights. Close condescension, my family's applause, my father's hiss about making them look bad. Ben listened the way he always does, quietly, with his jaw getting tighter with every sentence. When I finished, he was quiet for a while. Then he turned to his monitor and pulled something up. "Okay, so while you were getting roasted over pot roast," he said, "I was running routine diagnostics on our servers, and something flagged." He showed me the access logs. Aurelia had a sandbox demo, a limited version of our AI that we gave potential investors under strict NDAs so they could test its capabilities. Sterling Westwood, the tech conglomerate that was in final talks to acquire us, had been accessing it cleanly, professional, respectful. But there was another set of credentials, the ones we'd issued to VCF, Chloe's fund. Their initial activity had been normal, standard queries, poking around the surface. But over the past week, the pattern had changed. Aggressive. Repeated attempts to access the source code directory, hammering at our firewalls, trying to reverse engineer the architecture. It was the digital equivalent of someone jiggling every window in your house at 3 in the morning. And here's the part that really got me. You know what tool flagged the intrusion? My own AI. The forensic fraud detection system that Chloe had called a little hobby. That's what caught her trying to steal it. The irony was so perfect, it almost hurt. But server logs alone weren't enough. I needed to know how they'd found us in the first place. Aurelia was a ghost. We had no public profile, no website, no social media. Only a handful of people knew what I was really building. Ben, a couple of contractors, and my family, the people I'd foolishly tried to impress over the years, dropping little updates at barbecues and holiday dinners, hoping for a reaction that never came. Then I remembered. A family cookout maybe 4 months back. I'd been talking to my cousin David, the good cousin, the one who always seemed interested, always asked follow-up questions. I told him about a major breakthrough with the AI's predictive modeling. I was excited. I let my guard down. Alex had wandered over with a beer and overheard just enough. "Still tinkering with that robot brain of yours, Jay?" he'd joked. David had actually defended me that day. No man, this is legit. Jason's building something big. At the time, I'd been grateful. Now a sick feeling started crawling up my spine. I dug into the network traffic. Most of VCF's intrusion attempts were masked behind VPNs, but some of the earlier, sloppier ones weren't. I traced one back to a residential IP address and ran a lookup. David. My cousin David, the one who'd always been in my corner. He hadn't just been listening at that barbecue. He'd been gathering intel. And he'd handed it straight to Alex, who'd handed it straight to Chloe. I called him immediately. No hello. No warm-up. Why, David? Long pause. Jason, what are you talking about? The IP address. The one that's been trying to breach my company's servers for the past week. It's yours. Silence. The heavy kind. The kind that's shaped like guilt. I don't know what you... Cut it out. Did you tell Alex and Chloe about my project? He broke. His voice cracked into this shaky whisper. I just mentioned it to Alex. I thought it was cool what you were doing. I was bragging about you, Jason. I was proud of you. I swear I didn't know she would. And the thing is, I believed him. I really did. David wasn't a schemer. He was a golden retriever of a person. Loyal, eager to please, completely incapable of thinking 2 steps ahead. He'd told Alex because he wanted to be part of the inner circle. He wanted Alex to clap him on the back and say, "Good looking out." He sold my secret for a pat on the head, and he probably didn't even realize he was selling anything at all. But understanding why someone hurts you doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't matter what you knew, I said. It only matters what you did. Please, Jason, don't tell your parents. Don't tell Alex. It was a mistake. Don't worry, David. I'm not going to tell anyone. Oh, thank God. I'm going to show them. I hung up before he could respond. That confirmation was the last piece. Chloe hadn't stumbled onto my company by accident. She'd been fed the information by my own family. My brother had handed her the map, and she'd gone hunting. And the whole time, she'd sat at my parents' table, laughing in my face, knowing exactly what she was doing. Ben watched me put the phone down. He'd heard enough. "So what do we do?" he asked. We set a trap. Ben and I spent the next 3 days turning our office into a war room. We built what we called a honeypot, a fake vulnerability in our demo server designed to look like a backdoor into the source code. Irresistible bait for someone who thought she was smarter than everyone else. The moment anyone accessed it, it would trigger a silent alarm on our end and start recording everything. Keystrokes, screen activity, and audio. It would activate the microphone on the user's machine. We wouldn't just see what they were trying to steal. We'd hear them planning it. It worked. 2 days before Alex and Chloe's engagement party, the honeypot triggered. The recording was crystal clear. Chloe's voice, sharp and unmistakable, directing a small team through the breach. "Come on, find the core algorithm," she snapped. "We just need the source code and we can build our own clone. By the time we launch, the little accounting nerd who built this will never know what hit him." The little accounting nerd, that was me. The guy whose hobby paid the bills. I had everything I needed. Enough for a lawsuit. Enough for a criminal referral. Enough to end Chloe's career with a single phone call to Sterling Westwood's legal team. Ben knew it too. He looked at me across the desk, dead serious. "This is enough, Jason. We can hand this to the lawyers and be done with it. Clean. Quiet. The right way." He was right. That was the smart move. The mature move. The move a good person would make. I did neither. See, I'd gotten an email earlier that week. An invitation to Alex and Chloe's engagement party. 100 of their closest friends. Black tie. Open bar. A celebration of the golden couple. And I was invited to come and play my part. Smile, say something awkward, be the lovable loser little brother, then fade into the wallpaper. I stared at that invitation for a long time. I thought about the quiet route. Lawyers. Depositions. A settlement nobody would ever hear about. Chloe would lose her job. I'd keep my company. Life would go on. But quiet wasn't what I wanted. I wanted them to see. I wanted my parents to watch their perfect world crack open. And I told myself, It was about justice, about protecting my company, about standing up for myself after 30 years of being invisible. But if I'm being honest with you, and that's the whole point of telling this story, it was about pain. I wanted them to feel what I had felt. Every single Sunday dinner of it. Every dismissive laugh. Every time my father looked through me like I was made of glass. Ben saw it in my face. Jason, don't do something you can't take back. I've been taking it back my whole life, I said. Maybe it's time. I stopped. IRS yes, and I bought a new suit. Because if you're going to burn down a house, you might as well look good doing it. The night of the party, I almost didn't go. I was standing in front of my bathroom mirror in that new navy suit, and for a second, I didn't recognize the guy staring back. He looked calm, put together, but his eyes were wrong. They had this cold, flat look I'd never seen before, and it scared me. I thought about calling the whole thing off, handing the evidence to the lawyers, letting the system handle it, going home, ordering takeout, and watching the whole thing play out from a safe distance like a normal, reasonable human being. But then I straightened my tie and drove to the party. Because I was done being reasonable. Reasonable was what got me 20 years of Sunday dinners where I wasn't even a person. I was furniture. The ballroom was exactly what you'd expect. Flowers that probably cost more than my first car. A string quartet, a giant screen behind the stage, running a slideshow of Alex and Chloe. Perfect smiles, beach vacations, a life curated for an audience. 100 people in their best outfits, making the kind of polished small talk that sounds like wind chimes and means absolutely nothing. I slipped in near the back. My mother spotted me and gave a tight little wave, her eyes already scanning for someone more important. Classic. Alex and Chloe found me within minutes. He swaggered over, champagne in hand, hair attached to his arm like a designer accessory. "There he is!" Alex boomed, clapping me on the shoulder hard enough to rattle my teeth. "Glad you could make it, little brother. Thought you might be too busy with your, He waved his hand vaguely, groping for the concept of my career, like it was a word in a foreign language. Chloe smiled, that venomous smile. "We were just talking about you, Jason. I was telling Alex how impressed I am with your dedication. It's so rare to see someone so passionate about their little projects." I smiled back. Not the old smile, the flinching, apologetic one. A new one, calm and steady. "Thanks, Chloe. Actually, my little project's about to have a pretty big week. Can't wait to see what the future holds." Something flickered behind her eyes, just for a fraction of a second. Then the mask snapped back. After a while, the MC tapped the microphone. "Time for toasts." Alex gave his speech. Charming, self-congratulatory, hitting all the right notes. Then, with a grin that was equal parts showmanship and power play, he invited me up. "Come on up, Jay. Say a few words. Don't be shy." Polite applause. Every eye in the room on me. He wanted his moment. The golden brother graciously giving the quiet one a chance to fumble through a toast. The contrast would make him shine even brighter. I walked to the stage. The remote control was in my jacket pocket, smooth and cool against my fingers. I adjusted the microphone, looked out at the room, and that's when it almost didn't happen. Because I saw my mother. Front row, center. She was smiling up at me, and for one disorienting second, she wasn't the woman who'd spent my entire adult life comparing me to my brother and finding me lacking. She was the mom who used to sit on the edge of my bed when I had nightmares, stroking my hair, telling me monsters weren't real. She was the mom who packed extra cookies in my lunchbox with a note that said, "You're my favorite genius." My hand froze halfway to my pocket. What am I doing? The thought hit me like cold water. This is my mother. This is my family. This room is full of people and I'm about to... Then I heard it, a whisper, just off to my left. Chloe leaning into Alex, murmuring something I couldn't quite make out. And they both laughed. That laugh. The same one from the dinner table. Dismissive, amused. Like whatever I was about to say was already the punchline to a joke I didn't know I was telling. I pulled the remote from my pocket. "Thank you, Alex," I said into the microphone. My voice sounded strange to me, steady. almost eerily calm. I don't have a long speech prepared. I've always believed actions speak louder than words. And lately, I've been made aware of some very interesting actions. I looked directly at Chloe. Her smile twitched. Chloe, in particular, has shown a remarkable interest in the world of forensic accounting AI. She's been so curious about my little project. So instead of a toast, I thought I'd share a bit of that project with everyone here. I pressed the button. The slideshow of Beach Vacations vanished. In its place, a screen recording, timestamped 2 nights ago. A user logged into VCF's network, frantically navigating directories trying to crack open my source code. A gasp went through the room like a wave. Then the audio kicked in. Come on, find the core algorithm. Chloe's voice, razor sharp, echoing through the ballroom's sound system. We just need the source code, and we can build our own clone. By the time we launch, the little accounting nerd who built this will never know what hit him. Silence. Total, absolute silence. The kind where you can hear your own heartbeat. Chloe's face went white. Not embarrassed white, ghost white. The color drained out of her like someone had pulled a plug. My mother had both hands over her mouth. My father was half out of his chair, his face the color of a bruise. I let the video play. All of it. Her directing her team, her frustration, her contempt. When it ended, I turned back to the microphone. The little accounting nerd she's referring to, that's me. The company she was trying to steal from, Aurelia Analytics, is my company. My life's work. The hobby that pays the bills. I paused. The room was so quiet, I could hear the ice melting in someone's glass. Sterling Westwood finalized the acquisition of Aurelia this week. It's an 8-figure deal. And as part of that deal, I've accepted a position leading their new AI division. I looked at Chloe. She was gripping Alex's arm. He was staring at the blank screen like it might offer him an explanation. So in a way, Chloe, you were right. The big players are very interested in my work. It was done. The room didn't erupt. It didn't gasp or murmur or whisper. It just emptied. Slowly, quietly, the way rooms do when something ugly happens. And everyone's afraid it might be contagious. Guests set down their glasses and found the exits without making eye contact. Nobody wanted their name anywhere near this. And then it was just us, the Miller family, alone with the truth for the first time in 30 years. Alex turned to me. His face wasn't angry. It was something worse. It was hurt, genuinely, deeply hurt. Like a kid who just found out Santa isn't real. You could have just told me, he said quietly. And that sentence, 5 words, hit me harder than anything Chloe ever said. Because he was right. I could have pulled him aside. I could have shown him the evidence privately. I could have given him the chance to handle it on his own terms. But I didn't. Because this was never just about Chloe. And we both knew it. I didn't answer him. I just walked off the stage and out the door. They caught me in the parking garage. My parents and Alex. A desperate little delegation under the buzzing fluorescent lights. Jason, wait! My father's voice, commanding, even now. I stopped. Didn't turn around. You can't just walk away, my mother said, her voice shaking. You have embarrassed this family in a way I never thought possible. You humiliated your brother. You destroyed his... She was trying to steal my company, Mom. I turned around. Did you hear that part? Or were you too busy counting the people who were watching? She was ambitious, my father spat. Maybe she crossed a line, but you handled this with no class. You aired dirty laundry in front of... It stopped being our laundry when you chose her over me. Then my mother said something that stopped me cold. Do you know why we pushed Alex so hard? Her voice had changed. Smaller. Almost fragile. When you were in 3rd grade, your teacher, Mrs. Patterson, you remember her, she called us in for a meeting. She told us you were gifted, truly gifted. She said you'd be fine no matter what, that kids like you always land on their feet. She swallowed hard. She said Alex was the one who needed our support, that he'd struggle without it. So we gave it to him. Every bit of it, every dollar, every ounce of attention. She looked at me, and for the first time in my adult life, I saw something in her eyes that wasn't disappointment or pity. It was shame. I know now that was wrong. But we didn't do it to hurt you, Jason. We did it because we thought you didn't need us. The words landed like stones in still water, rippling out in every direction. She wasn't lying. I could hear it. This wasn't an excuse manufactured in the parking garage. This was something she'd been carrying for years, maybe decades. A decision that had calcified into a family structure, then into an identity. Jason's fine. Jason doesn't need us. Jason can take care of himself. And the thing is, she was right. I could take care of myself. I had taken care of myself. But needing help and needing to be seen are two very different things. Understanding why you did it, I said slowly, doesn't undo what it did to me. Alex stepped forward. And this is the part I didn't expect. I knew, he said. His voice was raw, stripped of all the charm, all the bravado. I always knew I wasn't the smart one. Why do you think I needed to be the loud one? The successful one? The one with the car and the deals and the right girl? He laughed, but it was the saddest sound I'd ever heard. You think I didn't see you in that dark room, building something I couldn't even understand? You think that didn't terrify me? We stood there, the three of them and me, under those awful lights. And for one moment the masks were all off. My father, rigid and silent. My mother, crying softly. Alex looking at me like he was seeing me for the first time and hating what he saw reflected back. I didn't have a speech for this part. The remote control was useless here. I have to go, I said. I got in my car. I didn't slam the door. I closed it softly, the way you close the door to a room where someone is sleeping or dying. And I drove. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new corner office at Sterling Westwood, sketching out a roadmap for a product that would help small banks detect predatory lending patterns when my assistant buzzed in. Jason, your mother's on line 2. She says it's an emergency. My blood went cold. Whatever else had happened between us, the word emergency from a parent still hits a place inside you that never grows up. I grabbed the phone. Mom, what's wrong? Is everyone okay? It wasn't that kind of emergency. Jason, you have to help your brother. No, hello. No, how are you? Just a demand, dressed up in manufactured panic. His life is falling apart. He lost his job. His clients won't return his calls. Chloe's suing him for emotional distress. He's a mess. He needs you. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. After everything, after the silence, the months of no contact, after I had grieved the loss of my family like a death, this was the first call, not to check on me, not to apologize, to ask me to fix her golden child. What exactly do you expect me to do, Mom? You're successful now. She said it like an accusation. You have money. You have connections. Give him a loan. Introduce him to people. Help him get back on his feet. He's your brother. He is my brother, I said. And he stood there and laughed, while his fiancée planned to destroy me. You want me to reward that? Her voice turned sharp. The desperation morphed back into that familiar cutting tone I'd known my whole life. This is your fault, you know? If you hadn't made that disgusting scene, none of this would have happened. You did this to him. There it was. The blame. The complete, immovable refusal to hold anyone accountable except me. No, I said. His choices did this. Chloe's choices did this. And your choices did this. Our choices, she shrieked. We gave you everything. And then, in her anger, she let the last ugly truth slip out. The one that explained it all. We invested everything in Alex, Jason, your father and I. Our savings went into his real estate ventures. We thought he was the sure thing. Now it's all gone. The inheritance. Everything. And you're sitting up there in your fancy office doing nothing. The inheritance. Not love. Not family. An investment. Their entire family structure. The praise, the dismissal, the golden child and the ghost. It was all just portfolio management. Alex was the high-yield stock. I was the forgotten savings bond in a dusty drawer. And their price investment had just crashed. I see, I said quietly. That explains a lot. Are you going to help us or not? I can't give you money, Mom, but I can give you advice. I know an excellent financial advisor who specializes in debt restructuring. I'll email you his number. Stunned silence. That's all you can do? She whispered. That's all I'm willing to do, I said. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up. I sat there for 20 minutes doing nothing, just breathing, listening to the hum of the building around me. Because freedom isn't what they show you in the movies. It doesn't feel like flying. It feels like an empty room that used to have furniture in it. You wanted the furniture gone. You needed it gone. But now the echo of your own footsteps is the loudest sound in the world. 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed at midnight. A text from Alex. I almost didn't read it, but I did. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't an accusation. It was 6 words. I miss my brother, just my brother. Not the version Mom and Dad wanted. Not the nerdy programmer or the CEO or the villain who ruined the engagement party. Just his brother. I read it 4 times. I typed a response. Deleted it. Typed another one. Deleted that too. Then I put my phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling until I fell asleep. I still haven't answered. People keep asking me if I regret what I did, and the honest answer is, I regret how I did it. Not that I did it. There's a difference. Or maybe there isn't. I'm still figuring that out. I think about that moment on the stage a lot. Not the part where I pressed the button. That part's easy to replay. I think about the 10 seconds before, when I saw my mom's face and almost stopped. When I was still the kid with the lunchbox note and the first computer and a dad who believed in me. I had one foot in that world and one foot in the new one, and I chose to step forward. I don't know if that makes me brave or cruel. I don't know if standing up for yourself and burning everything down can be the same act. I don't know if my mother's explanation changes anything, or if Alex's confession makes him less guilty, or just more human. What I do know is this. For 30 years, I swallowed every insult, every dismissal, every pat on the head. I made myself small so they could feel big. And that night, for the first time, I took up the full space of who I actually am. It was messy. It was ugly. People got hurt who maybe didn't deserve all of it. But I'd do it again. Differently. Maybe. Quieter, probably. But I'd do it. So, that's my story. I'm not the hero, and I'm not the villain. Most days, I think I'm neither. I'm just a guy who finally said the thing he'd been swallowing for 30 years and discovered that the truth doesn't set you free. It just gives you a different cage, a bigger one, with a better view, but still a cage. Would you have pressed that button? And if you did, would you answer Alex's text? I still don't know my answer. Maybe yours can help me find it.